95% of the world's watches are made here, including the one you're wearing right now. Many big brand watches are produced or sourced for parts from here. This place is Shenzhen City, the world watch capital city. And in Shenzhen, you must not miss this factory.
Let's be real for a second. Where do these flashy luxury watches actually come from? Are these $20,000 Rolexes we keep seeing really some handcrafted Swiss masterpiece? Or did they start life under a neon buzz in a packed factory in China, surrounded by thousands of near-identical copies? Because what Chinese manufacturers are revealing right now is blowing the lid off the luxury watch game. This isn't just quiet talk anymore. These whispers have turned into full-on exposés.
You pay $4,400 for a mid-test Tudor Black Bay monochrome. You pay almost $10,000 for a Rolex Submariner. And a Royal Oak extra thin, it costs like $36,000. Cheap is not a word that applies.
TikTok is wild and with bold unboxings. And some factories in Shenzhen are done playing it safe. They're spilling major secrets. And it's not looking cute for the so-called Swiss legends. China's stirring up some steaming hot truth tea, and guess what? The Swiss brands can't smooth talk their way out of this one. The noise is too loud, the facts too messy. And Rolex? Yeah, they just dropped a massive price change on some of their top-tier pieces. People are losing it. But before we dive into the chaos, the receipts, the shady loopholes, and the receipts backing it all, we gotta hit rewind and check out where this madness really started.
Swiss watches are actually made in China, and the reason that replicas often look just as good as the original is that they are made in the same factory.
Time for a quick history detour, but spoiler alert, Switzerland might not be the king you thought it was. So check this out. You probably grew up thinking that only the Swiss make top-tier watches, right? Snowy peaks, quiet workrooms, old dudes squinting through magnifying glasses while crafting Rolexes by hand. Sounds cute, but that's more fairy tale than fact. Now step into the real watch capital of the world, Shenzhen, China.
When you come to Guangzhou, you cannot see any problem just by looking at the appearance. What you need to be careful about is that the low quality movement inside will be sold at a high price.
My suggestion is you can try first or buy it for a legal way.
No joke. Over 95% of watches worldwide come straight out of China. And a massive chunk of that is made right in this one powerhouse city. Shenzhen ain't just part of the industry. It is the industry. We're not talking about knockoffs or those sketchy $30 swap meet watches. Nah, this is next level. We're talking high-end craftsmanship, luxury dials, detailed bracelets, sapphire glass, ceramic bezels, the real deal. These watch parts are being made on such a massive scale that Switzerland just can't compete. Now here's where things get juicy.
Asking y'all should receive. Tisa, where are the watch manufacturers? I did some digging and I found the watch manufacturers. There is a new scandal coming out of the luxury watch division. Listen, if you want to keep going to Rolex, if you want to keep going to AP and spending your money, go and do that. However, industry insiders are coming out, and I have their videos. People have even been fired from it for lifting the hood away from the ugly.
Word on the street is that some Shenzhen factories are allegedly making parts for the actual big dogs. Brands like Omega, Tag Heuer, Tissot, and maybe even Rolex. Yeah, you heard that right. These aren't the fakes people try to pass off at a flea market. We're talking about real parts. Sometimes made in the exact same factories as the ones used by these premium brands. The only difference, they just don't come with that Swiss stamp of approval. And the wildest part, these factories aren't hiding anymore. They're flexing.
Factory, they offer a wider range of styles to choose from, maintain strict production standards, and can support customization, starting from just 50 pieces. What? Worry about them are just middlemen? You contact them directly.
Some of them are now openly offering custom orders to regular people. Like, forget the boutique. You can legit order your luxury watch straight from the factory. No waiting list, no overpriced showroom vibes, just direct heat from the source. But here's the big question that's got everyone scratching their heads. If your luxury watch is mostly made in China, why does the dial still say Swiss made? That, right there, is where the real plot twist hits. That little Swiss made label you see at the bottom of the dial, it's supposed to scream class, craftsmanship, and old money vibes, right? But surprise, it doesn't mean what most people think it means. See, under Swiss law, a watch only needs to have 60% of its value come from Switzerland to carry that label. Not 60% of the parts, not 60% of the build, just 60% of the value. And what counts as value? Marketing, branding, R&D.
Watches come in different sizes. A small dial makes your wrist slimmer, while a larger one makes you a stronger arrow. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The Rolex data just is the best choice for cost-effective.
Or even something as small as popping the movement into the case once it reaches Geneva. So picture this. Your Omega's case, dial, and bracelet are all made and assembled in Shenzhen. Then a technician in Switzerland installs the movement, gives it a quick polish, and boom, it's magically Swiss-made. Wild, right? That's how they're pulling it off. You're dropping $6,000, sometimes way more, on a watch that was mostly pieced together in China, but sprinkled with some Swiss pixie dust and sold like it's a crown jewel. Thanks to a fat marketing budget, that same watch gets dressed up in luxury packaging and slapped with a 5-figure price tag. And don't get it twisted, this isn't a brand new hustle. This playbook's been around. It started bubbling up on Reddit, then spilled onto TikTok. And now it's exploding like a full-on true crime documentary. Former insiders from the watch world are stepping forward, and the stuff they're revealing, it's wild.
Something. I'm going to fire Harold.
Why?
The watch is a fake.
What's fake about it?
According to the serial number,
It doesn't correspond to that watch.
One guy, who claimed he worked for a major Swiss brand, said he straight up got fired for asking too many questions. He was working on vintage models from the 1970s and started noticing that a ton of components were already coming from Asia back then. Dude dropped real receipts too. Photos of bracelets, hands, dials, all with made in China heat. And the movements? Sometimes they were genuine Swiss. But other times, just a $5 quartz mechanism tossed in at the last minute. No wonder folks are starting to side-eye those luxury price tags. So now you're probably wondering, how come the media hasn't blown this thing wide open? Simple. The luxury watch game has cash like that. Magazines rake in millions from ads placed by Rolex, Omega, Cartier. You think they're gonna start snitching on their biggest sponsors? Not a chance. And the so-called watch bloggers, even worse. They're getting flown out to Basel World, draped in gifted timepieces, pampered at brand dinners. You think someone's gonna risk their next free Rolex just to tell the truth? Please. Everyone's too busy keeping it polished and on brand. So now it's on us, the underdogs, the YouTubers, the TikTokers, the anonymous factory workers, to peel back the curtain and show what's really going down behind that luxury fantasy. And guess what? After years of being completely untouchable and exclusive, Rolex finally flinched. They quietly dropped prices. Not across the board, of course, but just enough to make people ask, wait, is everything okay over there? So check this out. Watch forums and luxury dealers are buzzing, and for good reason. Some Rolex models just got slapped with up to 20% price drops in certain markets. And guess which ones? The ones that were getting way too popular in the replica game, like the Submariner, the GMT Master 2, and even some Oyster Perpetuals. But don't get it twisted.
You want to start adding Rolex to your collection? These are the 5 cheapest Rolex watches that you can buy right now. First one, we got the 36mm Datejust 16220 with the engine turn bezel and is worth around $6,500. The next watch is a 36mm Datejust 16014 with the blue dial and fluted bezel. This one is priced at around $6,200.
Rolex didn't roll out a flashy ad saying sale. They played it slick, like always. These price cuts happened quietly, mostly through authorized dealers and only in select spots. But the people who watched the market, they clocked it instantly. And the timing? Way too convenient. These drops came right after that viral expose out of China showing Rolex-style cases and bezels being boxed up and shipped in bulk, straight from a massive warehouse in Dongguan. And let's be honest, brands like Rolex don't just start slashing prices for fun. Especially not a brand that lives off its rep for exclusivity and that you can't sit with us energy. For Rolex to pull a quiet discount move in the middle of a public supply chain scandal, that's got the whole luxury world shook. Because the fantasy they've been selling, the mystery, the scarcity, the unattainable dream is falling apart in real time. And while all that's crumbling, regular folks are making moves. Private Telegram channels, secret WeChat drops, encrypted WhatsApp groups, it's all happening. Entire watch factories are out here offering custom luxury builds for way less than retail, and it's booming.
Watches come in different sizes. A small dial makes your wrist slimmer, while a large one makes you a stronger area. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The Rolex Datagest is the best choice for cost-effective. For more advanced options, there's post and professional models. Let's look at the submariners here.
And here's the real twist. They're not even calling these watches replicas anymore. Nah, the terminology's gone corporate. Now it's factory, B-grade, homage, parallel build, same line release, or unbranded OEM. Translation: yeah, we made it. We just can't say we made it for Rolex. It's like DH Gate got a glow up. One whistleblower even claimed some Chinese suppliers get leftover parts from real Rolex orders. And instead of dumping the extras, they just finish building the watches and sell them on the low. Not knockoffs, not fakes. The same thing, just without that final Rolex inspection stamp. Let's break this down real quick. When we're talking about luxury watches, especially brands under the big dogs like Swatch Group, Richemont, and LVMH, their profit margins usually land somewhere between 10% and 20%. Not tiny, but not exactly supervillain status either. But compare that to the real corporate monsters. Tech and pharma, Apple's sitting comfy with a 32% margin. Microsoft flexing at 38%, and Novo Nordisk, the folks behind Ozempic, pulling a wild 39%. So suddenly, that $15,000 Rolex doesn't seem as ridiculous, right? But before you start feeling all warm and fuzzy about Rolex, pump the brakes. Because they're still eating, okay? And not just nibbling, they're feasting.
It's easy to produce. I'll tell you one thing. That one thing alone is more than enough for you all to understand why you all should not be wearing a fake. Self-confidence, guys. Once you wear a fake, your confidence is not the same as you wear original. Because once you wear a fake and you walk into a place where there's a lot of people who love watches, people who wear the original are going to figure out it's a fake. So once you wear the fake and it gives some light off, there is going to be reflection shown on that. That alone is more than enough. And your confidence level is not the same.
Here's the twist. Rolex operates under a private non-profit foundation. Yup, plot twist. They don't even have to publicly share their financials. It's giving secret society vibes. So while tech giants are printing money in broad daylight, Rolex is out here stacking quietly. Not exactly cartoon villains in Swiss castles stroking cats, but they're still making serious bank. Now here's where things get real spicy. What does it actually cost to make one of these high-end timepieces? Industry insiders are whispering that a watch selling for $6,000 might only cost around $1,200 to $1,500 to produce. That's less than 25% of the sticker price, and that's before the retail markup, which includes cuts for dealers and extra padding to keep that aura of exclusivity locked in. Some brands at least try to keep it somewhat honest. Take Christopher Ward, a British watchmaker. They've openly said they never charge more than 3 times their production cost. Omega, that markup's around 4 times. But Rolex, experts say it's closer to 5 times or higher. That's a major leap, and it's all about protecting the illusion of elite luxury. You're not just buying a watch, you're buying into a fantasy built on precision, heritage, and a whole lot of behind-the-scenes pricing gymnastics. So yeah, when you buy a luxury watch, you're not just paying for gears and glass. You're paying for the entire machine behind the brand. But here's the kicker. Not everything that looks expensive actually is. That $60 Rolex you copped, it might slide past someone's eyes on a quick IG story. And sure, under soft lighting it can look kinda clean, if you don't zoom in too close. But let's not fool ourselves. The insides of that watch? Straight up dollar store with big dreams. No hate to the budget babes or the DH Gate crowd. Everyone loves a glow up on a budget, but facts are facts. Most replicas cut every corner in the book. The movement inside? Usually some noisy off-brand piece that ticks like a busted wall clock. It's nowhere near that smooth, buttery sweep of a real automatic. Water resistance? Practically non-existent. That fake Rolex will fog up just from walking in a sauna. And the build? We're talking super cheap metal that scratches if you even look at it wrong. The lume? Barely glows. The weight feels off. And the finishing? Let's just say it was definitely not hand-polished in Switzerland. But now here comes the real question that hits everyone deep once they start pulling at the threads. Are luxury watches actually overpriced? And the truth, it's complicated. If you're walking into that boutique thinking you're buying pure craftsmanship, groundbreaking tech, and a piece of living history, you might end up disappointed. Not every luxury timepiece is some mind-blowing marvel of engineering like the ads make it seem. Some brands are straight up slapping together pre-made parts, doubling the price, and letting the name do the heavy lifting. That's the game. But here's the big but. If you know what you're actually paying for, then it's a whole different story. You're not just buying a chunk of metal and glass. You're buying access. You're buying the right to flex, the power move. That feeling of walking into a room and having heads turn, not at you, but at what's shining on your wrist. It's not just a watch, it's status, it's image, it's entry into a world that thrives on exclusivity and silent power plays. That feeling, for some folks, is priceless. So is it overpriced? Technically, yeah. But emotionally, that depends on you. Once you know the truth behind the tag, what goes into the price, what doesn't, you get to decide if it's worth it. That's the real flex. Not the watch, not the logo. You calling the shots. But now I need to hear from you, for real. Do you think Rolex is actually trying to be more accessible now? Or are they just panicking because folks finally peeped the real cost behind the glitz? Would you still grab a Rolex now that prices are supposedly dropping? Or are you starting to see through the whole luxury illusion? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's really get into it, because you know the tea stays boiling when the convo's lit. And hey, if you love this deep dive into the high-end drama, don't forget to smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe for more luxury exposés, celeb chaos, and behind-the-scenes industry secrets. Hit that notification bell so you never miss the next spill.